What is a mantle jump? Mantle jumping is a technique in which a player jumps and triggers the mantling, aka climb, animation on a ledge for a split second to gain extra horizontal momentum. This boost results in a higher and farther jump. The Villain first discovered and explained this technique. So, as always, we give credit where credit is due. If you haven't subbed to the Villain, do so. How to do a mantle jump. To perform a mantle jump, these 4 steps must be taken. Jump off a zipline towards a ledge. Hold the forward key during the climb animation. Holding the crouch key is not necessary. Tap backwards to cancel the climb animation and flick down on the zip. Use the interact key with the zipline and scroll wheel down to super jump out of the window. This is much easier said than done. So, instead of starting here, let's start with the basics. How to super jump on controller. In order to become proficient in mantle jumping, you need to learn how to super jump on a controller. I have created a guide to super jumping with mouse and keyboard, which can be accessed via the link above. To practice super jumping on a controller, try out firing range or R5 reloaded and use Pathfinder to place a horizontal zipline. Then, follow these steps. Press the interact button to hop on the zip. Then tap the jump button twice shortly after. It is important to practice super jumping for a while before attempting a mantle jump, to get a feel for the timing and to see if you can do a consistent super jump after a full zip down the firing range. Once you successfully complete a super jump on a horizontal zip line, begin transitioning to a vertical zip. The firing range zip line is the most straightforward one to start with. You can tell you've achieved a super jump when you reach the sniper armory or clear the rock on the opposite side. How to mantle jump on controller. A mantle jump is typically achieved in 4 steps: jumping off a zip line, holding a forward input during the climb animation, briefly pressing a backwards input, flicking down, interacting and double tapping the jump button. Some say you need to hold crouch in order to mantle jump. However, this is not necessary to successfully mantle jump. An alternative approach involves simply tapping a backwards input, flicking down, interacting and double tapping the jump button. As I was learning to mantle jump on a controller, I found that learning to first mantle jump in the zip shaft was beneficial. I practiced leaping off the zip, latching onto the ledge, and then executing a backwards input, interacting with the zip, and double tapping jump. I found that releasing the pressure on the left stick assisted with consistency. For successful mantle jumps in streamer building, there are approximately 3 frames to consider: the frame when the full floor is visible, and a couple of frames after that. Aiming for when the floor is visible is likely the most consistent option. Console players can practice this in multiple locations, the most popular one being the tower in firing range. You can go here and try practicing the same steps mentioned before. How to mantle jump on MNK. To consistently perform mantle jumps, it is necessary to understand when to jump onto the ledge. Once you are able to land on the ledge every time, you can begin practicing the S-flick movement. The community is pretty torn regarding holding crouch or not. Some think a more effective approach to mantle jumping is to simply tap S, flick down, press E and scroll wheel down to super jump. Honestly, I do both. Don't get discouraged if you have difficulty mastering the flick, interact, and super jump. Persevere and practice. One way to practice a mantle jump in R5 is to go to streamer building and put up a horizontal zipline in this spot. Practice climbing the ledge and doing a flick down and super jump. Nobody else seems to be doing this yet. If you don't have access to R5, you can try mantle jumping in the firing range in a similar way here. How to mantle jump and tap strafe. Once you've achieved a certain level of consistency with mantle jumping, you can add more complex movements and inputs. One of the most helpful additions to mantle jumping is tap strafing. The timing of mantle jumping and tap strafing is essential. It was a bit of a challenge for me to figure out when to incorporate a directional tap strafe. The timing should look something like this. While you're in the air, you can add a directional input, either scroll wheel up or hold down your left stick, and flick your mouse to rotate 180 degrees, move left or right, or move in the direction of your choice. Mantle jumping in a zip shaft. You can perform a mantle jump within the zip shaft, which will help you ascend the zip shaft in streamer building and 5-stack much faster than a regular super jump. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Got an idea for a movement tech I haven't covered? Let me know in the comments. Tune in every Thursday at 3 p.m. for new movement tutorials. See you then.